Yes, welcome everyone. So our moderator, Rizwan Gul, will be beginning the program. Rizwan Gul, you're not on your computer, only the phone.
Okay. Let me just, sorry for the technical issues today. So let's start.
Let me just welcome everyone once again. My name is Louisa Griva from the Uyghur Human Rights Project. And it's a wonderful honor that we have several groups coming together to hear from Uyghur women. I see there are 21 participants on this webinar already. We may have one more minute for more people to join, but it's terrific to have all of you joining us now and others joining us later if they watch afterwards or join us as the hour proceeds. So Rizwan, are you ready to go on and put your camera on to introduce the event?
Yes, please give me just 1 second, please.
Okay, good. So thank you everyone for waiting with us as we do technical difficulties, work through our technical issues. And I don't know if someone else from Justice for All would like to speak and introduce the organization before Rizwan opens the program.
Brother Adam, could you please take over?
Assalamu alaikum.
Tursnay, just wait, please. Tursnay, saklap durun. Brother Adam, are you there? Brother Adam? Okay. Let's start. Thank you, Louisa. Let's start with introducing the panelists today. First of all, thank you so much for Louisa Grave to attend today's panel. So Louisa Grave is the director of global advocacy for the Uyghur Human Rights Project based in Washington, D.C. And then she represents Uyghur Human Rights Project on the steering committee of the coalition to end forced labor in the Uyghur region, and co-chairs a group monitoring implementation of the U.S. Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. Ms. Grave has served on the Amnesty International USA Board of Directors, the Virginia Advisory Committee of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, and the International Advisory Committee of the Coalition to End Transplant Abuse in China. And she is chair of the board of Liberty's Promise. She is the author of several book chapters on ethnic issues and human rights in China. She has testified before Congress and has published commentary on the Hill, the Independent, Law and the Liberty, Global Policy, and Hong Kong Free Press, among others. Thank you again, Louisa, to join us. Our second panelist is Zumrat Dawood. Zumrat Dawood is an outstanding survivor of Chinese concentration camp. Born and raised in Urumqi city, she worked as a businesswoman, successful businesswoman between Urumqi and Pakistan. However, her life took a drastic turn when she was wrongfully accused of having contact with the outside world and sent to a concentration camp in China. Despite the authorities and atrocities and horrors she faced in the camp, Zumrat Dawood remained strong and preserved. She was eventually released from the camp due to the tireless effort of her husband, Pakistani businessman Imran Mohammed, who lobbied for her freedom. Zumrat's effort to raise awareness about the plights of those who remain trapped in Chinese concentration camps are commendable. By sharing her own story and providing evidence to support the cause, she is making a significant contribution to the fight for human rights and justice. Her bravery and determination are an inspiration to all who hear her story. Our another panelist is Tursnay Ziaudun. Tursnay Ziaudun is an inspiring survivor of the Chinese concentration camp. Tursnai's story is one of the courageous and the resilience in the face of immense adversity. Born and raised in Kunes County, Tursnai was a skilled dressmaker, yet she was wrongfully sent to the concentration camp in China, despite being detained twice, first in April 2017 and again in March 2018. Tursnai refused to lose hope. Her husband, a Kazakhstani doctor, tirelessly lobbied for her release and eventually succeeded. Today, Tursnai resides in the United States, where she continues to advocate for justice and raise awareness about the plight of those who are still suffering in Chinese concentration camps. Her unwavering spirit and commitment to freedom and human rights serve as a beacon of hope and for all those who face oppression and persecution. Our another panelist is Mihrigul Tursun. Mihrigul Tursun is a remarkable survivor of the Chinese concentration camp. Born and raised in Chiemo County, sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly. And this courageous woman.
Called Chechen, not Chiemo. I am Uyghur, I'm not Chinese. Thank you.
Yeah, I already apologized for that. Sorry. So this courageous woman, Mihrigul's journey has been one of the incredible perseverance in the face of overwhelming adversity. While studying in Egypt and marrying there, she returned to China with her triples to visit her family, only to be detained multiple times by Chinese authorities, simply for having lived abroad. Despite these injustices, she refused to lose hope. She was eventually released from the camp to take her children back to Egypt, where they were born and hold citizenship. After enduring the horrors of concentration camp, she was heartbroken to receive only 2 of her triples and the lifeless body of the third one. Today, Mihrigul resides in the United States, where she continues to be a powerful voice for justice and human rights. Her story is a her story is a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of oppression and serves as an inspiration to all who hear it. Last, and it's myself. I am an Uyghur advocate and the co-founder of Empower Communities Charitable Trust. I am Rizwan Gunur Mohammed. Currently, I'm residing in New Zealand. My brother, Maulan Nur Mohammed, was arbitrarily detained by Chinese Communist Party in January 2017. And I have been vocal advocate for my brother's release ever since. Despite facing intimidation from Chinese authorities, both in New Zealand and the United States, I have been continuing to speak up for my brother and the Uyghur community. I am working as a program manager associate for Justice for All, an advocacy organization that campaigns for Uyghurs through its Save Uyghur campaign program. Alongside my advocacy work, I'm also the co-founder of the Empower Communities Charitable Trust, which is a non-for-profit that is registered in New Zealand. Our aim is to empower Uyghur individuals, families, and communities through entrepreneurship, education, and well-being initiatives. By doing so, we are standing against the Chinese genocide. Again, thank you all for the panelists, as well as those who are listening to us. Today's panel is about the global challenge, Uyghur women rights defenders, and the intrusive surveillance that we are experiencing, and its impact on us. So today we start with Ms. Louisa's presentation on this topic. Thank you, Louisa. You can take over.
Thank you so much, Rizwan Gul. It's an honor to be here with very good friends like you. I admire so much all that you do as a Uyghur woman, for Zumrat, everything you have done as a survivor and advocate, for Mihrigul, everything you are doing to tell your story, and Turthanai, everything you've done to tell your painful story for the world to hear. So I want to just start by saying that the perpetrators of this genocide are the leaders of the Chinese Communist Party. They're using various tools, the police, but also technology. And really, this technological surveillance is remarkable for two main reasons. One is that it's very advanced. And the second is that the companies that are building these surveillance systems have global presence. They have global supply chains, and they have a global marketing network. So these same brands that are conducting a genocide are also participating in international commerce. So we'll certainly come back at the end to talk about what can be done to ensure that these companies pay a price and are, we hope, no longer able to operate in this way to help the Chinese government carry out these atrocities, like the atrocities suffered by our three sisters here. Now, Rizwan Gul, we don't need to pause for any interpretation, is that right? We're going to go right ahead.
Yes, please do so. I will only translate when our other panelists, when they speak in Uyghur language. Thank you.
Very good. So we know that this technological surveillance in the Uyghur homeland in East Turkestan depends on a network of camera systems and depends on a new app that was documented by Human Rights Watch called IJOP, Integrated Joint Operations Platform, where police can look at their phones and have concentrated in one place data about everyone they're watching. And this comes from government residence papers, interrogations, and real-time tracking of what Uyghurs are doing, with the requirement in the real world, the officials forcing Uyghurs and making it a requirement they must download a tracking app. And then the technology side, those phones themselves become tracking devices. They become an auxiliary police. Now, going beyond tech, where we think of a machine, we also have to think about women's own biology, everyone's biology, men and women. As you all know, I believe that everyone is following this, but it's good to remember the Health Checks for All program. The government, Xinjiang government said, we're checking all health in the fall of 2016, and really was all between 16 and then there was an upper limit in the ages. All adults came in for health checks where there were DNA samples taken, face print and voice prints were also taken at various points. And Zumrat has testified about this, I know, in the intake process when she was taken to detention. So this kind of biology goes directly to tracking each individual and feeds back into the big software cloud where the data is integrated. Can we track everyone? So that's why we saw headlines saying Huawei, a major global brand, is marketing its tracking software. And we had a hacker in Europe suddenly finding an entire database that was not secured. So he managed to get in, a good hat, a white hat hacker, found open information about what the Xinjiang government was doing to track people's locations and have data available about what they were doing. This is a mechanism of control that is quite advanced, and we could say it's like a futuristic item. And I'll mention one other thing about the high-tech nature. A lot of it depends on artificial intelligence. I don't know anything about artificial intelligence, except that it does require what's called big data. So once you have the more data that goes into the system, the faster that the machine learning can take place. And this is why, so there was a situation where the police were blanketing the entire Uyghur region with police presence, the threat of internment, and paying a lot of money for high-tech apps produced by these companies. Hikvision and Dahua, I will mention, Hikvision and Dahua, in addition to Huawei, feeding a lot of data, even in China, where the government of China respects no civil liberties among its population. There was a special case in the Uyghur region to require everyone to come in for checks, to require everyone to download an app for tracking. This creates big data and allows these Chinese companies to leap ahead of their competitors, where there might be an artificial intelligence learning system in a democratic country where you have to get more permission or people have to voluntarily turn over their information. And so it's a control and it's being used for commercial advantage, which is another shocking element of the way that China is conducting this genocide. I'll stop there and come back to the question of sanctions at a later point. Thank you, Rizwan.
Thank you, Louisa, for giving us general understanding of how technologies have been used for surveillance by the Chinese government. And now we're gonna hear from the camp survivors, Zumrat and Tursnai and Mishigul, to describe their personal experience and the feelings about those surveillance technologies that being used inside and outside of Chinese camps, and even including the overseas. First, let's hear from Zumrat. Zumrat, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Rahmat, saqlab qaldınız. Endi qo'ydigan savolimiz, siz Xitoyniki jazolarga yetib chiqdingiz, jazolardan keyin bir mezgil sirtda turdingiz. Shu jarayonda siz shu kuzatish apparatlarini ko'rgan, shundan ma'lum ma'lumotlarni o'zingiz beshingizda kechirgan sarguzashtlar bor. Shuni bizga so'zlab bergan bo'lsangiz. Oxirida chet eldimi sizga mushu jihatdan qanday ta'sirlar bo'ldi? Kuzatish jihatdan masalan sizga tahdid soladigan ishlar bo'ldi. Mushlarni bir-bir tushuntirib o'tgan bo'lsangiz, rahmat.
Bo'ladi. Xitoy hukumati 2014-yildan boshlab masjidlarga kimlik surkab kirdigan ashundaq bir apparatni olib keldi. Kelgandan keyin juma namozi
Zumrat, men ashar bir ketim qilganingizda ikki jumladan to'xtab bersangiz, men tarjima qilib bersam bo'lamda?
Tamam.
Siz hozir dedingiz 2014dan boshlab masjidlarda kuzatish apparatlarini o'rnatib dedingiz, ha?
To'g'ri, har kim uningga kimlik surkab kiradi.
Ha, bo'ldi. Zumrat is saying that starting from 2014, Chinese government, local authorities already installed surveillance cameras at the mosques. So whoever enters the mosque, they should use ID to enter.
Anadan keyin 2016-yili mushu adam tutgan vaqtida masjidga sen 2014da masalan o chaqda biz bilmaymiz-ku bunchalik bakiliqi adam tutishlarning bunda bo'lib ketganini. 2016-yil adam tutgan vaqtida hech kim men masjidga kirmadim degan gapni qilolmadi. Chunki 2014dan boshlab juma namoz yoki 5 vaqt namoz yoki o'lib ketganda namoz jinoz namoz deganek namozlar qatnashganlarning hammasi kimlik surkab kirganligi uchun uningdan tanamidi shubhada kirib ketildi.
We actually didn't realize that such regulation by using ID to enter the mosque could be the reason for many of us to be detained in the later, especially since 2016. When the authorities started large scale of arbitrary detention, they detained those who entered the mosque dating from the 2014, and nobody could deny that they didn't enter the mosque because every entrance was recorded. Yeah, başlayalım.
2016-yildan boshlab pasportlarni yig'ib oldi. Qo'lda bor shaxsiy pasportlarning hammani yig'ib olib, chet elga chiqqanlarning hammasini birinchi qadamda mushu barmoq iz ilish, ovozni ilish, ko'zning nurini ilish, ashundaq DNA qanni ilish deganlarni pasportlarni yig'ib olib, chet elga chiqqanlardan boshladi.
And also those who visited overseas were also targeted for this arbitrary detention. Our passports was confiscated and our DNA and also fingerprints, all those data was collected by the Chinese authorities.
2017-yildan boshlab butun oilani 3-cü avlod kimlik ishlaymiz deb ashu aşındaq bir bahane bo'ldi endi avlod kimlikinglarni o'zgartamiz 3-cü avlod kimlik qilamiz deb pasport bejaganlarni boshqa qilgandan keyin anadagi sirtdagi odatdagi har qanday uyg'urlarning hammasini kimlik bejirish maqsadida aholilar komitetida mushu pasport bejirib qilayotgan mush ko'z nuri ilish barmoq izish deganlarni boshqa hammasiga o'rtaq olib bordi.
Besides that, it seems like in the third wave where we all requested to register for the issue for the third generation Chinese ID, because we were requested to obtain third generation Chinese ID. So our information again all gathered or collected. And this is another attempt by the local authorities to get our information in their data system.
Har bir mahallani qurshab bir darvozadan kirib, bir darvozadan chiqadigan qilib, aholilar uyiga kirishdan burunmi, chiroy tuntundigan eshiklarmi, hatto chiroyini tunib, anadan keyin ichilatdi. Chiroyimizni aholilar komitetiga kirib tuntib etgandan keyin bir darvozalarni har bir mahallaga bir darvozadan kirib, bir darvozadan chiqsiz, chiroyingizni boshda apparatga qarasangiz eshik ochiladi. Sirtdan bir mehmon kelib qolsa-mu, biz cho'qim darvozaning oldiga berib, uni chiroyimizni tuntib, darvozani ochib akirmasak, sirtdan bir odam uyga kirolmaydi.
This data collection and also surveillance also used to the extent that every single residential area started to have only one entrance. When you enter from that entrance, that small gate, you have to use the facial recognition system that is already installed over there. If we have guests, we have to come outside our apartment to the gate, allow that guest to enter. By doing so, Chinese authorities is recording and monitoring every single moments of ours. Yes, please.
Uylarimizga kirdigan, masalan, dayuan deb qo'yamiz-ku, mush bino uyning ichiga kirdigan darvozadan tortib apparat paketdi.
In addition, every single unit in the apartments that we live in, they also have those surveillance cameras.
Ma'u rasmim, hoy, qanday qilsam chiqaverdi.
Yaqinroq akapyoqmi? Yaqin akasingiz chiqib kameraga. Yaqin. Ha, siz avvaliga keyin background ishlatibsiz, shunga chiqmaydi-ku deyman.
Voy, buni qanday yo'qtasam bo'ldi?
Bo'lmasa dab bering, og'zingizni dab bersangiz.
Uyimizning ichida men bir rasmni ko'rsatay desam chiqmadi. Shu uyimizning ichigimi shu apparat darvozaga, eshikdan kirgandan keyingi apparat darvozaga mundaq ikkili kortni bekityapti. O darvoza uyimizning ichidagi. Aning ichidagi ikkili kortni bekityapti, u to'maroq bo'ladi uning ichida, apparat bor. Hattoki u uyning ichidagi gaplarni mo so'zib ola oladi.
Even further, so sorry, the local authorities also installed a monitoring surveillance camera in our house, in our apartments that we are living in. For example, when you enter the house, you have that door, right? So at the behind of the door, look at the photo here that Zumrat is showing. Look at that. It looks like RQ code, like code, right, to scan. But actually behind it, there is a camera that monitoring our movements, like every single move in our house, as well as listen to our conversations.
Bundan sirtdagi uyimizga mana darvozamizni qanday o'ngishdi desanglar, mana mana shu chiroyimizni tunib, mana mana shu kiramiz.
Facial recognition system is being used at the apartments.
Uyimizning ichiga shu apparat bor. Anadan keyin uyimizga bir televizor ko'rgich, ya'ni jilixir deb qo'yamiz. Har bir odamga o'zlari taqatdi. Uni uyning ichida shuni 24 soat to'qdan arvatsak bo'lmaydi.
The local authorities also forced us to install a kind of equipment that is connected to our TV at home and asked us to turn it on 24/7 so they can monitor us.
Mana bu ikkilik kortni skanerlasangiz,
Mm.
mana bu app chiqadi. Bu appda cho'qim telefoningizda mushu bo'lishi kerak. Bu app bo'linsa, siz ash hukumat cheklagan biz deyishga bo'lmaydigan ba'zan bir gaplarni suzib elib birdan necha saqchi keladi.
Bunun ismi nima? İsmini ko'raman.
Jingwang Weishi.
Nima?
Jingwang Weishi.
This is an app which is called Jingwang Weishi that is required by the local
Internet
authority.
police, like calling internet police, like, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Mehrigun. It's like internet police. That is an app that required by every single Uyghur to install in their phones. So when they speak some sensitive words or sentence or terms, that they quickly can be caught by the Chinese police.
Do'konlargami bir nimalarni o'rnatyapti? Do'konlargami bir asbobni o'rnatyapti? O asbob bo'lsa, siz do'kondan ortiq narsani ololmaysiz. Masalan, tig'liq asboblar, jiqaroq non degandek alqi gumon qo'zg'aydigan narsalar. Masalan, bir oilada 10 dan ortiq non yasangizmi, shu asbob orqali yuqoridan nimaga deydi? Saqchiga ma'lum qilish kerak do'kondorlar. Anadan sirt pichoq, tig'liq asboblar setib olsangizmi, bu har bir do'konda mushu bor. Mushu narsa bo'lsa, birdan necha saqchi kelib, do'kondor saqchiga ma'lum qilish kerak.
And there are surveillance cameras in supermarkets, grocery shops as well. If there is any activity that is being being recognized as a suspicious event by the police, they will be caught. For example, if you buy a knife, or even if you buy a big amount of food, for example, if you have a couple of people in your home, but you are buying a lot of bread, maybe more than 10, something like that. So everything is suspicious in the police eyes, they will be caught.
Uning rasmi batı topamay qoldim. Ash appning rasmi bor. Agar lozim bo'lsa.
Yeah, if you need evidence, I can provide it. At the moment, I can't find the photo in my phone. Zumrat, sizga ko'p rahmat. Siz sirtdagi ahvollarni bir dedingiz. Jazolarning ichidami shunday kuzatish apparatlari to'g'risida esingiz qolganlar bo'lsa deb degan bo'lsangiz. You have gave us a couple of examples that you experienced the surveillance cameras outside the camps. I asked her if she can recall her experience that is in the camp.
And bizni akirgan yerlarchi munda bu tutqa odamning soni haddi hisobsiz bo'lgandan keyin turmalar yetishmay, hukumat o'zi ishlatmaydigan maktab, doktorxona va yoki yasli degandek yerlarni tezlikda ashundoq bir tutib turish jazo lageriga aylantirayotgan. Manda.
Local authorities arbitrarily detained so many people that the prisons, the camps itself was not enough. So they use schools, hospitals, and some other buildings to keep these detained people.
Shuning bilan u yerlarga ashu bizni akirganmi, men bo'libmi, men yotgan yer maktab mo'daq alaqi biz maktabda o'qigandan maktabning shaklini bilamiz endi. Meni akirgan yer alaqi turma emas, maktabni o'zgartirgan bir lager.
As a Uyghur who is arbitrarily detained, I was kept in a camp which was transferred from maktab dedingiz, from school to the camp. So I was kept in that building.
Shu darvozni kirishdan tortib u apparatlarning jiqligida. Darvozga bir odamni akirgandan tortib ta yotadigan yerimizgacha, hatto cho'ng kichik tarat qilishimizdan tortib apparat kuzatib turdi.
So in that place that I stayed, once you step in from the gate, you can see the surveillance camera anywhere. In the cell that we were kept in, even in the toilets, everywhere you can see the surveillance cameras.
Hattoki o'birni hojatxonasining to'sig'i yo'q. Masalan, bir odam o'tirgan bo'lsa, shu kamerning ichida qancha odam bo'lgan bo'lsa, ya 20 ya 30 bir odam cho'ng kichik tarat qilganni qolgan ayollar ko'ralaydi ham apparatni ko'ralaydi.
And despite that, how many of us, sometimes like 20 of us in a small cell. So the toilet is a part of this cell. So when you go to toilet, everyone can see it. And also you are monitored by the surveillance cameras around us.
Meyli okutuş uyugu bolsun, mesela siyasi ögünüş öyleri bolsun, hemmisi de aparat var.
We were also brought to another room space where we are forced into the indoctrination. Even there, we can see that surveillance cameras are installed.
Anadan keyin lagerdan koyup berip, mesela maşında men okşaş çıqqanlarga manga aş telefondan birini berdi, Huawei telefondan birini. Başka hiç qanday telefon işletishga bo'lmaydi. Mush telefon yanada turish kerak, 24 soat ochiq bo'lish kerak deb. O'zlari bergan telefonni lagerdan chiqqandan keyin 1,5 oyda yanimda saqlab yurdim. Hech qanday telefon ishlatishga bo'lmaydi. Kimningla telefondan so'zlasang, biz sening ovozing ilg'iliq, boshqa bir telefonlar orqali birasini aloqalashmaysan. Aloqalashsang tutilib qolsang bo'lmaydi. Mush telefon yaningda turish kerak deb bir Huawei telefonni berdi. 1,5 oy yanimda tutdi.
After once I released from the camp, the local authorities asked me to use the phone that they gave me. It is a Huawei phone, cell phone. They requested me to only use this phone. Don't use any other phone. And they also told me that whenever I speak, they can hear me. And I was also asked that turn this phone on 24/7.
Mana mushundaq narsaga mushta barmoq izimizni mushundaq qildi mana.
This is how we gave our fingerprints.
Shu endi bu aparat
bilan nis qildingiz, Sumarat? Mushu siz kampni ishchidimi, tishidimi, hatto chadaga chiqqandan keyin Xitoyning nazorat qilishini qutlamadingizmi? Nimalarni his qildingiz? Qanday his qildingiz? I asked
mashinadandek his qildik o'zimizni.
I asked Zumrat, could you please share how do you feel by being monitored, surveilled in the camps, outside the camps, even while you are living on the US soil? I asked her to share with us her feelings. Zumrat, başlayın.
Biz özümüzni mashinadandek his qildik. Yeyimiz, ichimiz shu tuz berib, tuzkilimiz hammaga. Masalan, endi u bir gapimning ma'nosi azaldan qalaymaqa ish qilmaymiz, lekin ozroq erkinlik yo'q. Ozroq nafas olish yo'qdekla, bu xuddi og'zimizni bir odam etib olib, mush barmoqlarimizning orasidan nafas evatgandek bir xil. Anchiki o'lmaslik uchun bir havodan nafas evatgandek, ashta his qildim.
I felt like I'm a robot that I was told where to go, what to say, everything. I didn't feel any freedom. There was no freedom, as if my mouth is covered with my fingers, with my hand, that I'm only allowed to breathe through my fingertips. I didn't feel any freedom, that I feel like I have no rights.
Onun ustiga qanday desangiz, mushu gapni cho'qim tarjim qiling. Biz uyda 5 kun uda jim o'tiramaymiz. 5 kun o'tasak, sen kimligingni 3 kun bo'pti yo 4 kun bo'pti bir yerga tekkizmabsan deb telefon qildi. Chiqib ishimizni hech qanday ishimiz bo'lmasa-mu, talog'i chiqib bir yerga berib kimligimizni surkab, to'rga kirgizishimiz kerak.
She said that, even we can't stay in our house consequently for 5 days, because if we do that, they would come and ask us, you didn't go anywhere. What are you doing? So for us, we have to go outside to use our IDs somewhere else, and they come home to show that we are using our IDs and we are here. She was saying previously also that I am, for example, low obedient person, but still I am in that situation where I am monitored every single moment.
Onundan sırt mashinamizmi shu? Mashinamizmi yo'lda ketayotgan cho'ng yo'llarga apparatga tushmasa, mashinang 3 kun haydalmabdi. Sen bugun nereden bo'lmasin mashinangni haydab bir cho'glab apparatga tushib kel deb. Nerede apparat bor, shu yerga berib bir qatim o'tib, bir yerga chiqqimiz bo'lmasa-mu, shu 3 kunda bir qatim talog'i chiqib, harakatlanib apparatga tushishimiz kerak.
if we have a car, we have to go outside to even just drive anywhere, like not like anywhere, but drive somewhere where we can use the, our facial recognition or ID to see, like to be recorded in the system. So we are forced. We can't even stay in our house or don't use the car for consecutively several days because they need to record us, our movements. We have to use our IDs or facial recognition system once a while.
Mashina adamdek hayat kechirib, vatanda açtaq qısılıp keldik. Amerikaga kelip, mushundaq ahvollarni ko'rib, hech qanday hayat apparatning yo'qligini, insonlarning keng kuchada hayot kechirayotganligini, unda qilqi mashina adamdek ishlarning yo'qligini hamdi. İnsan yo'ldan chiqmay o'z yo'li bilan mangsimi, hech qanday qilqi to'salg'u yo'qligini hayron qildik emasda. Bizmi u yerda hech bir gunohsiz turib, ashundaq mashina adamga aylanib qoldik. Bu yerda shunchalik texmi erkinligini bilib, bizning vatanda qanchalik bir ig'ir besimlarning bo'layotganligini insonlarga texmi tunib yetadi ekansiz.
Over there, under the Chinese regime, we were treated like no human being. We didn't have freedom. We were like robots, even though we were law-abiding people, but we still monitored and surveilled. We didn't have freedom. Once I came to USA, what I realized is that we have freedom here. As long as we act like a law-obedient person, we don't have problems. We have the freedom. So I feel that, by comparison, I can feel deeply now, even further, that, how much my people back home are oppressed. They arbitrarily detained and surveilled without having any crimes. So I can feel deeply that how much we were oppressed.
Kuzatish apparatları mayaqda qalsın. O taşığı çıksak, öye kirsek aparatның dəstədən. Yani kelip, yani bir ayda 15 günde Xitaylarını bizge kuzatishga qo'y demesin bola?
Even back home, as I mentioned earlier, described earlier, that we were surveilled 24/7 inside and outside our homes. But even as if like it's not enough, the Chinese authorities also brought those Chinese cadres, the officials, to stay with us for 15 days in our house to monitor our every single word say and our actions in our homes.
Mana uyimizge kep yatıdı bolamı şundaq.
They are asked by the local authorities to come and stay with us, eat with us, and record everything that we do at our homes. This is our photos that Rumet is showing when she took when the Chinese cadres to stay at her place.
Şu ula uyga kelip mi bizden teşhidi aparatga düşmegen, her qandaq ahvollar bolsa ichki ishlarimizni yezib onunga, ichki ishbadimizni, qandaq nima ekanligimizni, o'sha hammani to'liq yezib, qanday ideal ekanligimizni, kallasi juyuldimi, juyulmadimi, hammani yuqoriga yo'llaydigan aparatdan o'ta xalqni uyimizga billa 15 kun billa yeb, billa ichib, billa uxlab qildiganga o'rlashtirdi shu.
Rahmat. Zumrat, men tarjima qilib bo'lgandan keyin sizning gapingizni bir xulosa yutayman. Undan keyin agar Alana savollari bo'lsa, so'rasin. Bo'lamdi sizdan?
Tugadi gapim.
Thank you, Zumrat. So Zumrat is saying that as if the surveillance cameras are not enough, we had those Chinese cadres to stay with us, to record every single moment of us, what we say, what we eat, what did we even tell our children, everything, that we didn't have freedom. And she's also now, she finished her description of her experience. If you have any questions, please send it to us, and Zumrat will answer at the end of our panel. Now we come to the second speaker. Is Tursnay here or Mihrul?
I'm here.
Siz mishadmi? Tursnay, assalomu alaykum, yaxshi kelibsiz. Sizmi amdi Zumratga o'xshash kampga yetib chiqdingiz, kampni sirtda turdingiz, ma chataga chiqqandan keyin Xitoyning Islomning mushjatki tajriba nima boshdan kechirganlaringizni so'zlab bergan bo'lsangiz. we will now welcome Tursunay Ziaudun. And she's going to share her experience now with us. Thank you for listening. Tursunay başla.
Assalamu alaikum. Ben Tursunay Ziyaudun. Ben Xitay hükümetinin ceza lagerda işik ketim çıkıp yetip çıkan lager şahit bolman. Ben 2011 yo'ldoshim Qozoq bo'lganligi uchun Qozog'istonga chiqqan men. 2016'nın ahiri 2017 bir ay qolganda men u yerda grajdanlik ololmaganlik sababdan men vatanga qaytib bordim.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I am Tursunay. My husband is a Kazakhstan citizen. With him, I visited Kazakhstan in 2011. And because of the visa issues, I had to return to my home, which was 2016 December.
Qaytib berip bilan men şu chegaradan o'tgandan tatib ularni aş tekshirishda bo'ldim. Har bir aşı yo'lning bütün yeriga shunday kamera qo'yib etgan tekshirgan bo'libmi Uyg'urlarning boshqachalar. Men masalan aş Qozog'istondan qaytib berib yo'lda bir vaqani dappagim bor. Aş avtobusning ichida nurg'un Xitoy, Qozoq, Uyg'urlar bilan tushgan vaqtimda meni Uyg'ur bir bola bilan ikkimizni ataydi qo'limizni shamponji bor, aş tekkizib tursaqmi maxsus bir akirib yana nimadan o'tkazib ashtaq tekshirib o'tkazgan. Mana shu chog'da ashadiy ashundaq rejim boshlanib bo'libdi. 2017da 4-oyda mening pasportlarimni ilib olib, pasport olgan vaqtda ilqanda bütün ko'z nurimni qon ilibni tekshiriblar aşı lagerga kirgizdi. 4-oyning 10'i 2017da.
So once I stepped in the territory of China on my way from Kazakhstan to China, I experienced surveillance cameras, monitoring equipments, every single step that I had taken. For example, I was in a bus where there were a lot of people from the passengers from many other ethnic backgrounds. But me and another Uyghur man, we both, being Uyghur, were treated differently in a more discriminative way, that we used our Chinese ID, but still we experienced different treatment, even worse treatment compared to any other people on the bus. And my passports were confiscated in April 2017. Meantime, my fingerprints and DNA, everything was taken. And I was sent to camp on 10th of April.
Birinci qitim kirgende ben mingdak adam bilan yattım. O chog'da bir kasbiy maktab, bolalar kasb o'rganadigan odamlar ashtaq bir maktabda yangi mala deydi kunasdan. Asha qamadi, apadi. Bir aydan ortiqroq yattım men. U yerning muhitining nacharligidan, tamoqlarning bek ashadiyligidan men asha og'rib bir aydan keyin men ashqazon yolg'ib doktorxonada yetib qoldim. Onundan 2018gacha shu uy qamoqda turdim. O jarayonda menim aşında kontrollikda her vaqt o kampiga bir kirib chiqqan ashta bo'ldi. Masalan, her vaqt nega berishimni butunlay ruxsat bilan qog'oz bermasa qo'ldan ular nada tug'dim video qilib mana men keldim deb turgan ashta holatda yashadim. Lekin 2018 3-oyning 10'i yenib kirib ketdi yana. O chaqda yana shu kampiga apadi. Lekin o kampa o chaqda o'zgarib ketgan rasmiy maktabga uning rasmiy tarafiga qo'rchagan hamma yerda kamera saqchi to'rt nimasi ashtaq saqchilar turgan maxsus nimaning sirtida 100 metr yerda nima saqchi punktlar qo'yilgan uning yana boshqa mashinalarni faqat kampga kirgan odamlar ashtaq obordi saqchilar bordi odamlarni nimaning yana maktabga yaqin keltirmaydi ashtaq qo'yibdi.
Men bir tarjima qila olay. I was taken to the camp for the first time. It was a facilities where the school was transferred to the camp facility. So I was held with another around 1,000 detainees over there. It was in the Yingamala, that place. So when I entered the camp, that time I did experience again the surveillance equipments over there. But it was compared to the second detention, which I will describe soon, that it is the existence of the surveillance camera, it was not intensive yet. during the first detention, I was too sick. I was, because of the living condition was too poor, I was sick, and they allowed me to go home and stay at home. But even when in my home myself, I was monitored 24/7. After that, in 2018, 10th of March, I was taken to the camp again, but this time, and that I mentioned earlier, that I can see the surveillance camera everywhere. Every 100 meters, there is a police check. We were brought to the camp by bus, so I can see that, our movements are monitored very heavily. Başla.
Битимде бек чоң бир тутуш башланып экен. Алдыда бурун аздан киргизгич башка окуйтум бек әшәди бүтүн эч кандай яд адам коймай камайдыган даражада аштак. Бир айдан эч ким каммаган хатта. Мен кирген вактымдын өзүдө о камптын ичиде аш лагердин 10 миң адамда деп параз кылам аштак. Мен өзүм кирген күнү бек нургун төрттек автобус менен адам экеп камап атыпты. 3төн 4төн текширип экирип ататты. Менин иним акам макырды. Biz o kamera ишиктен киргенден татыпла, була расмий адамларны бүтүнлөй баданын кийимдерин яштырып, эч кандай кылганда өзүнүн эndi кийип кирген кийимдер кылмайды, өзүнүн я бир түгүмү жок, неме жиплай жок, аштак кийимлерни нем кылды, футуңузду гамбыны аягыбыз кийгизмейди, гамбыны жок, чукайларны аштак алмаштырып кийим өзүнүн нерселери болсо берип аштак кирип ататты. Бир 4 метрлик бир өйнүн ичиге камады.
Then what I noticed this time is that we were brought by bus. So I could assume that we were arbitrarily detained in a vast majority. We were so many of us were there. When we were brought to the camp itself, we were also asked to remove all our clothes, including shoes. So we had to wear what they provided us. And those clothes they provided does not have any button or any strings on it. We have to remove our shoes. And firstly, I was brought to in a cell which was like a very small one. It's like 4 square meters.
Окуйтум кирген вактымда буларның әшәдилиш башланыпты. Оның ичинде адам кыйнаш неме ишиктен киргенде мен көз алдымда бир момайны шунда кыйнаган өз көзүм менен мен билен кирген Селимхан момай. Аш ки узун көйнөк кийип кирген үчүн, кирген адамдардын шу хаммасы уйгур болгонлыгы үчүн, намаз окуп койганлыгы үчүн, узун көйнөк кийип койгон үчүн биз окшош чат элге чыгып койганлыгы үчүн кирет. Onun başka hiç kandagan şu momay şunda köynüğünü yaştırıyıp eşede nemiş uzun köйнөк kiyip geldiğinde muş kusar bilen mındak bir popayk bilen kaldı. Beşidik yağlıklarını julup elip açtak veşiler çıkınap.
Rusnay, ben hazırma gitmez de endi biz hammamiz bilamiz sizning mushu kampda boshdan kechirganlaringiz haqiqatan ko'p, lekin biz bugungi panelda biz asosliqi mushu kampning ichidagi va teshidagi tutish apparatini to'g'riliq so'zlaymiz emasmi? Boshqa shunaqa bakrak markazlasak, hozir men gapingizni tashim qilib, uningdagi shu apparatlar to'g'riliq ko'proq so'zlab bergan bo'lsangiz rahmat. She was describing one painful experience when she witnessed that a very old Uyghur woman, she was abused. She was very rudely requested to remove her clothes. She was old. She feels so ashamed. She feels so embarrassed. But the police over there, the camp guards, they asked her to remove the clothes in front of all of us. And it was every time very painful for me to recall that experience of witnessing how this old woman were treated badly.
Tahminen 4 metrlik öy biz tuğan öyünün içi kamıgan. 4 metrlik öyünün özünde 4 bulunun 3 yerde kamera var. Mayak tıktam, iki kamera. Oturdu uduldu peşanımızda şinin udulu hem televizorunda kopaq şunun töpüsünde bir kamera, mında piqraydıgan kamera. Aşta kamerada küçük gündüz aşta göz tutturdu. Onun içinde hazır kamera to'g'riliq dedingiz, şu kameradan bo'lgan voqealardan bir ikkini deb beray. Hazır bir mo'may mush tizini tutib mundaqqa o'tirib.
As I mentioned earlier, it is just 4 square meters small cell, but even that small cell already has 4 monitoring surveillance cameras. 2 at the one wall. Another one is where we had a TV set over there. And we have these 3 cameras that monitoring us 24/7. And she's going to give us small example, one of the example by how these cameras impacted their lives over there. Başlayın.
Оны кеч күндүз бизне күзөтүп турдуган адамда унун эndi үзүлүп бакмайт экен. Чүнки бизне кечиси мумайныкына дейт экен. Эле тизине мындак тутуп отуруп калыптыр экен бир мумай. Мариям ана деген бир аныбыз бар, шу юваш кеп кылмайдык аяк. Шунун үчүн уну камерада көрүп турдук экен. Onu biz bilmeymiz ki ayal nim degen ağzı piçirledi deydi biz demeyimiz şonga aşı kameradan körüp kirip sen aşını tizing tutup oturup bir nimde dua kıldın ya bir nim kıldın dep şunçilik cazalap ayalını momayını açık gidip neçik tik tuğuzup koyup bir gün orundan ottağızmay aşta cazalagan te. Onun için keçisi mi aş gündüzü onun kamera adam üzülmeslik ki onun için bizne adamların onun için kıynaş için 2 saatin keçisi cibarı tuğuzup koydu. Mağımız bu yaktın bu yak oyun içinde. Başkalar uxlaydı ikisimiz ünlü nöbet bilen 1 saat aşta turumuz. Şu çağda bir günü özem uçurgan iş. Şundaq men ağırıp maş kam ketip tayak yegen zarbini aşta oturup kalman tola. Andes bek bu ketip basaң biraz vaqt otlasaң boldu desme oturup mında ya qarap kaptı ekenme. Şu muştaq turuş kerek de onun köz çekip muştaq turuş uxlap qilish jazalınsiz. Men muşta ya qarap qalganym üçün aşnыңды көрүp qilip qarаңгы qamaymiz dep şunda jazalap açık bir gün aşı iş qandaq nemi bilmeydiğin su tamaq vermeydiğin aşta uyup qanbatken meni. Adetde hemmeden aştaq boldu onun için aşnыңды da 24 saat siyamda o yerde nemiş qılımız kişi yişamdık biz mümkün emas da aştaq gözüp turdu.
Siz abi ya qarab qalgan vaqtыңыз siz növbetçilik qilib atқан vaqtыңız mı?
Növbetçilik qilib mağımız emasmı şu jagda men ağırıp atqan keyin bek bolamay kelsem bir 5 minut oturduğan orunduk berdi. Şunu men oturgan çağda işte ya qarap qaptı ekenmen sen ya uxludun. Yaxşı uxlap qaldың dep ay uxlamadım desem biz kameradan көрүп turgan tursak sen muştaq uxlap qaldың deyip aşta dep jaza tatılgandım.
Okay.
Şunçilik derecede endi bizni күзөтүш немеси да у bir.
So Tushna was describing 2 examples where these surveillance cameras were recording their movements and how they were punished for their movements. That, for example, first of all, the Mariam Anna, Mariam is her name. Mariam is an old lady over there. So she couldn't stand for too long. And then once she was holding her knees and because she has pain probably on her knees and then sitting there and then putting her head down. But her such movement was recorded and seen by the authorities over there. And then they came to her and they said that you must have been praying or making dua, praying something, you said something, and then they decided to punish her. So they take her out from the cell and then they put her somewhere else and forced her to stand still for couple of days. I think Tushna mentioned like 2 days to torture her. Another example is Tushna herself experienced. Tushna was describing that in that the arbitrarily detained people in that cell, they were arranged to have take turns to. It looked like keep moving like from this point to that moment in the cell or outside the cell corridor. I didn't really get that. I can clarify if you need it. So main thing is that when she was on her duty, kind of, she felt pain on her body because due to the previous torture she experienced at that cell, at that camp. So she was putting her head down and then, holding her body. But her movement also recorded by the camp people, and they actually also punished her for her such movement. In her duty, she has to be like open her eyes widely and then look around her. She was not allowed to put her head down. So through these examples, Trusnai was trying to describe that how much the surveillance over there, how much their every single moment is monitored in the camps. Thank you, Trusnai.
Мәсәлән, оның içinde мында, оның içinde бар, дәріс өтеді деген Қытайча дәріс өтеді үйді бар. Bir so'roq qilgan uyda va u so'roq qilgan uy qandaq kelib, tanxo deb sirtdan bizning mas'ul saqchimiz kelib, shu uyning saqchisi kelib, o'tirib bizga chiroyli ideyang qanda o'zgardimi sening, qanda bo'lyapsa degan gaplarni so'raydi-ku. Yaxshi masalani yaxshi qilsang chiqib ketishing mumkin degandek bizga tasalli berganda gaplarni u yerda kamera yanı bor. Hech qanday u yerda jazo berib qo'ymaydi. Rasmiy bizni urib qiynaydigan uy bor, uningda qat'iy hech qanday kameram yo'q, hatto to'qnim yo'riq yandolmaydigan bir uy u. Qarang, shunga biz jazolangan vaqtimizda har bir qitim biz unachida bilmasdan xatolik o'tkazib qo'yamiz. Ya bir nima deb gap qilsam, Uyg'urcha gap qilmasiz, gap qilsam shuni o'zim jinoyat emasmi? Shu chaqda qarang'i uyga olib boramiz. Unda qildigan bo'lsang qarang saqchilar. Shu chaqda qattiq qo'rqib ketdimizda qarang'i uy deyishning o'zi biz uchun qo'rqinchli narsa.
So Trusnai is telling us a very important point here that they have, like in the camps, they have different rooms, have different functions, right? For example, the cell and also meeting room and also the kind of the spaces where they were indoctrinated. So those spaces, they all have cameras. For example, time to time, the police officers, they will come and talk to them, apparently like in a nice way, saying that, how are you doing? What is your, thoughts? Just questioning them. But those places where they try to behave well, those places, they have cameras. But it's called black room, where we punished, tortured. Those rooms, it's called dark room, but those rooms, they don't have the cameras on it. So we, like in the cell, even if we speak in Uyghur language, we could be punished. So they would tell us, if you do this and that, you will be taken to the dark room. We know what does it mean. So we were very scared. We always self-censor what we say, what we do.
Ben lagerdan çıktım. Çıkkandan keyin men Қазақстан ketishning oldida u yerda men 12 ayda 1 ay 5 kun qolganda 12 ayda 25 chiqdim. U yoqda yani 9 ay yashab turdim. Men turish jarayonida singlim bilan ikkimiz bir nima og'ilib chiqdik. Bir nima olay desam, qatta sirtlar chiqishda men qo'rqadigan bir xil bo'lib qoldim. Deyli, lagerdan chiqqandan keyin ashta bir xil qo'rqinchlar borda. Men hech qanday yerda xotirjam bo'lmayman, singlimay chiqib kiray deb ma'qul deb o'sha bir nima olma deb chiqib edim. Bir yarasida mundaq kirib ketadigan lift bilan tushadigan mundaq chavushi deymiz, Xitoyda bir nima market deymiz bu yerda. Shunda narsa bilan oldigan do'konga kirib ketib boratdik. Lift tushib ketib berib, men ko'zoynakni taqab chiqqan odam yozning kuni chunki rasmiy. Ko'zoynakni taqab nima qilgan odam mundaq ko'tiribdi menda to'piga. Qisam shu orliqda chiqqanim bo'lmasa xeyli vaqt bo'lgan. Shundan keyin mundaq ko'tirishim bilan tushadigan yerda bir kamera oyoqda tushgan yerda kameralar bo'ldi ekan. U kamerani diqqat qilmayman. Mundaq ko'tiribda qarab, men shuni tushkunimni bilmay ashada 4-5 saqchilik yer degan dokur yugurishib degan buni qalqon tutibdi yurdi emasmi u yerda hozir ashta bo'lib ketdi qo'y. Hammasi bir tayoq qo'lida, bir qo'limda qalqandek bir nimayliqi. Ashta tutib yurib degan qo'rchab meni ashta qilib ketgan. Bu xudoyim nima shib ketdi, yana akir ketam degan yurak oldi bo'lib ketgan adam. Davidim men 4-5 saqchi mümkün akila şamfon jiringna aka deb bir qozoq ashta degan deb nim bo'ldi deb qoldim. O'dim bunda qarab chunki ne sho'shav bu yerda sho'shav deb qo'ydi. Lagerga borganman deb bunda qaraganda shuni men kirib chiqqanda boshda dedim. Ha, shu kanda bo'ldi, qo'rqma. Shuning o'sa ayaga tushsam, butun ko'zlarimizni bir nima quyib ketganda, u yerga kirib chiqqan boshqacha, sirtdagi boshqacha, kirib chiqqanda boshqacha bir nima qilib qo'ydigan o'xshaydi, taniydigancha. Yaqinda degan bir xil o'qitlam degan. Oy bo'ldi, ketayli bo'ldi, xotirjam bir do'kon olish, nimin satchilik butun qaqtiga qarishib ketadi unda qilsa. Sonim bo'ldi, ketayli uyga deb yeni keldimda ikkinchi ko'chig'im chiqmay bo'ldi. O'tiraychi uyda nima qilay? Mana
bu yangilash endi bo'lg'ayishku, sizlarning bu yangi vatan
ketidan 9 ay turdim emas, 9-oygacha men 2019 9-oyda keldim, men 9-oygacha shu yerda turgan orliqda bo'lg'ayishdi.
Okay, unda bo'lsa Trusnai hozir soat 10 dan eshib qopti. Men mushu gaplaringizni bir xulosalab deb berib o'tay, tarjima qilib. Undan keyin Anlıqçılarning savollari bo'lsa, keyinida bir javob
Okay,
London.
sure.
Rahmat. Bizningki
Rahmat.
Mehrigul bo'lamiz. Rahmat Tursunay.
Rahmat.
Tursunay also telling her experience after being released from the camp. So her sister took her to grocery shopping. She realized that, you know, there is also kind of difference, like how Uyghurs being experienced in the camps as well as those who are not, because those like her who already been in the camp, they were like because their records already in the system, so they were even more intensively surveillance. For example, as I mentioned earlier, that her sister took her for shopping, like grocery shopping. So it was a summer day, so she was having the sunglasses on her eyes. So when she took her sunglasses, suddenly she also noticed that a couple of cameras around her, around that space, around that place she was happened to be there. So when she removed her sunglasses, suddenly a couple of Chinese police, they ran to her, and then they asked her to show them her ID. So when she took her ID out and showed them, and they said, "Oh, you already been to the camp," and she said yes, and they said, "Okay, now we know why, you know, our cameras got our attention for you." So she was again asked to leave. That's okay, because they know that once she was already being held in camp and released. But from this experience, she was like so scared that, oh, I should not leave anywhere, because wherever I live, I was monitored. I was, got attention by the police, and they will run to me. So this is very embarrassing wherever I go. So she was so scared and asked her sister to took her home. And Tursunay could have a lot of other examples to tell us, but because of the time concerns today, we now invite Mehrigul to speak her experience, and we thank for Tursunay for sharing her experience. And if you have any questions for Tursunay, please send it to us. Thank you. Mehrigul, Assalamu alaikum. Mehrigul, siz bormi?
Yes, I am here.
Mehrigul, as we introduced earlier, that she's a remarkable camp survivor, and we appreciate that she speaks English, and now we invite her to speak about her experience in English. Mehrigul, you have around 10 minutes. You can take a little bit longer time, and we appreciate.
I don't want to take more than 5 minutes. I just want, because they are already share their experience. I don't need to have speak all more. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. Thank you for sharing your experience. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm happy to all of you join here. My name is Mehrigul Tursun. Of course, you know all my story. If you want to search about my experience in the concentration camp, you can write in Google Mehrigul Tursun, and then you can see all my Wikipedia, all my the testimony and the experience of the BBC, CNN, and the Congress. Yeah, I am the first camp survivors in the US. I came from the Chinese concentration camp 2018 to United States. So I have very horrible experience in the camp. Because time limit, I don't want to share all of this here. And of course, I have getting also like physical and psychological torture. I have also sterilization I getting from the Chinese police official, and they kill one of the triplet son in China. So now I am here. I just answered the question because Sister Zangozi provide for us a couple questions to answer for that. First one is in the camp have the camera. How many have camera? Yes, in the every concentration camp, even road and even our home building, everywhere have bunch of camera. Even when I first time come to United States, I provide for CIA and the FBI for the camera, the logo, some of the camera logo, and then I provide for them. And as you show me also multiple cameras, it's kind of what kind of camera like that. I also provide for them some information. And even also in the cell, the camp cell inside, every cell have 4 places have camera. The camera 24 hours, they are watching us, see us, even have listen to our voice. Even outside camera in the road, and our home building also behind the door also have camera. And this camera, why they put the camera here? It's meaning because my understanding is because they want watching us 24 hours, and they want to realize what we are speaking, what if we are doing. For example, if we are in the camp cell, we cannot talk each other. I stayed the first camp more than 60 women together, 400 square feet, so big this camera as a cell. We have six different, 4 camera in the one cell, 2 something to listen to our voice. The camera, because they are watching us, and when we enter the cell, they tell us you cannot speak together, you cannot answer anything. And so inside in the cell, I don't know a lot because I stay more than 60 women as a cell. Every cell more than 3 months I stay. So more than 3 months, if some people, if you living one home with 5 or 10 people, you living one home is more than 3 months. Of course, you understand what his name, where is he from. But in our cell, we cannot, because we cannot have to access talking each other. Even when I look at the behind, I will ask him like very slowly, what is your name or which city you living? And the very faster they can find us and then coming to punish us, to take our to question room, give some torture, or they want to stop, give us, provide some steamed bread. This is steamed bread, our food in normally in the cell. So yeah, so sometimes we are very some people, some girls, they take out from the cell and they give them to torture. They can coming, they go out from the cell normal life, and when they coming very sick or some is bleeding, they coming, and we try to help her, let her to stand up or sit down, because if they see from the camera, who was first moving, who was first to stand up to touch this another girls, help her or talk, they're gonna have get punished. They're gonna have to take torture. After that, the police coming because they see us from the camera. So until now, if when I have 3 months witness 9 women die, from this 9 women die, I just remember 3 and 7 women name, and another 3 women, 2 women name I don't know, because I don't have the chance to ask them what her name, what the city from there. So this is our condition in the camp. Another question they say, if the camp have camera, when they catch the camera, tarjim qıptırаңыз заңгыда ма şu аппаратлар түшүп кылып жазалар тартылганлар мисаллар бармы дегенде ундай болдум. Another question is жазаларның сыртында кандай жайларда көзчү аппаратлар бар?
Tarjim qıptırayman?
I think I told them all this example, all this question. Yeah, here.
Undaq bolsa siz mau chet elda masalan shu Amerikaga chiqqandan keyin ba'zi shu nazoratchiliklar uchragan bo'lishingiz mumkin. Shu jihatdagi bir misol bersangiz bo'ldi.
Yeah, in Amerikaga chiqqandan keyin demisiz?
I asked Mihrigul, because she already kind of covered the previous 2 questions where she's invited to share her experience in and outside camp with these surveillance cameras. Now I asked her to share her experience overseas. Başla.
Ben ahırdaki sualınızı düşünemedim. Amerika'ya kelgandan keyin shunday maslahat ko'rsatdingizmi yoki?
Undaq bo'lsa, Amerikaga kelgandan keyin masalan sizga telefon kelgan bo'lishi mumkin, tahdid solgan yoki bo'lmasa boshqa usullar bilan sizni yana davomli nazoratchilik qilinayotganligingizni his qilgan bo'lishingiz mumkin-chi, shu jihatdagi tajribalaringiz bo'lsa.
Yeah, of course. When I came before United States, of course, in Chinese government, they take every people, they are the 7 different emotion, because we look at the 4 camera, we're gonna give the 7 different emotion, gives them to like I can mention for that here because they tell us when police come to us, we are look at the camera to we give us the 7 different emotion. Even we are look at eyes for the scan for our face, scan 10 finger, and then let our leg down, mix a pass for black color, and walk on 10 meter back side and the 10 meter front side. So they want to check also our walking side. Even also they let us to reading to one journal, any journal, not stopping with 20 minutes because they want to take our voice. So from that, last time in Chinese, the police let me to go outside for temporary to outside China. That time they told me because they have all my record in the Chinese government, my DNA, my voice, my eye scan, my body moving, everything. So they can find me anytime if I speak about anything about concentration camp issue. But after I came to Egypt, I don't feeling like very scary. But when I came to United States, first I entered the airport. When I see a lot of camera, I feeling like I'm really feeling like scary. I think maybe sometimes Chinese government hack the camera and then can find me or give me shoot me from some far away. And even also sometimes I am using my cell phone. I try to cover the camera place or back camera place because I think maybe he can hack also my phone camera to can find me, can give me any problem. Just like that, yes. But in the United States, also I am even I buy some groceries or outside. First thing I look at for like where's have camera. I don't know why because it's not my control. Where's have camera? I have camera. They are watching me. They are look at me, and then maybe some minute or second. Sometimes some police take me to take out the border, send me to China, or this is something to coming to me like in my mind. Yes, in my mind.
Thank you, Michigo, for sharing your experience even on the US soil. We can understand that this is kind of post-trauma stress you're still feeling because you already experienced so bad, very bad, very traumatic experience like in China where we were monitored 24/7. So even on the free soil in the USA, you still kind of kept in that fearing mode where, as you said earlier, that police can come anytime and detain you and even deport to China. But hopefully, please believe that this won't happen in USA. You are free now. But we understand that this kind of traumatic experience will have a long lifetime impact on your life. So we appreciate you share your experience, and we really show the empathy and understanding how your life even in USA is difficult. Thank you, Mitigul, for sharing your experience. And we have a couple of questions from the audience, and Miss Louisa is going to answer these questions. And before that, Zumrat would like to add something. So please, Zumrat.
Менің абайлық көрсетмекчі болған рәсімім мұшу мына мұшу аппарат көріңлар. Мұшу әр бір дүканда ба, чоқым ба. Біздің әр қандай қылықы тығылық әсвап ұчы-бұчы, мәселен, бір айлыға нормадан артық ашлық алса, бір адамны худы сақлып алғандек өйді. Hatta ki aşlık asımı muşunun çokum telefon muşu aparatına bassa 3 minutdan içinde aparat saqçı kep buludu. Kelip aşını sürüştürüp mesela pichaqni nimaga alding ishkilik kortni qilib berdi kimlik nomerimizni. Mayli pichaq olsin, qaychi olsin, o'g'aq olsin, nima olsin, mushu appda telefon ashu har bir do'konda bor. Mushuni besib saqchi kelib ashu saq pichaqni nega ishlatadiganni uyiga jiqiraq olgan oshliqni nima uchun olganini kim kelmoqchi uyiga shuningdan tortib shu surishtirdi.
Previously, Mitigul Tursnay, as of course, Zumrat has shared their experience how they can see and monitored by those surveillance cameras everywhere back home, especially at the grocery stores. And so Zumrat is showing the picture of the surveillance camera here. She was telling us that, if anyone buy any items like a knife, especially, and the shop owner should press that the button, and then police will be informed. They will come and question you. Why are you buying this knife? Where are you going to use it? Even if they buy a bit more food, like Zumrat previously mentioned, that, like, for example, bread, if you buy like excessive, like kind of suspicious amount of food, the shop owner should inform the police, and police should come immediately and question this person. So by showing this photo of the camera, Zumrat is showing that this is what they experience on daily life back home. And Mihrigul also shared that how this previous traumatic experience with surveillance camera is still having impact on her life in the US. This is not unique to Mihrigul. Tursna Ziauddin, as well as Zumrat, has been also experiencing such a life.
Can I add something, please? Just very simple.
Okay, go ahead.
In Chinese camp, as a one police, if one police, when last time when I want to go outside China, that times, as my husband is not Chinese, he's Egyptian, so we have to discuss with my husband just a 5-minute time. This room, it doesn't have camera. Please give us to discuss with your husband about my kids, and then we sign this paper or not. So that time is police want me to wear one jacket. He wanted me wear this jacket and the token with your husband. So this time I think I don't want to wear jacket, and this is one police official jacket. And then he said, well, you must wear this jacket and go inside. So I said, okay, I wear jacket, and I wear his jacket. But that time I understand, because the police and if normal clothes people, this jacket have this cover place. Cover place, you cannot look at, is very small, like phone, something very small. Is this have wireless camera? They can video you, and they are listen to your voice outside. Even they have glasses. When you wear glasses, if they have small place is there, is this also wireless camera? They can listen to you, they can voice of you. They have pencil, even have pencil, it's upside, have wireless camera, it can listen to you and have this is voice. They are ordered from the Chinese government, ordered like this kind of camera a lot from the out of China, but I don't know which country they are provide for them, but they are using that also. So like some like simple, for example, Huawei phone, as the sister Zumrat mentioned about that. They must be every family have to the Huawei phone 24 hours. We cannot close it because this phone can scan your face. It camera can listen to your voice and take every sensitive for this. They can do a report for Chinese government.
Thank you.
In the normal people working, they have every government worker. They have to provide for them to some glasses if they want to wear from the government special glasses, government special jackets they have because they have something to do with voice, and the government special pencil. So when I came to United States, when I rent house, I start check every single one notes like, I think is this a camera or not? Even air condition, I check everywhere. Even when if like last time I go to California, we have meeting with Sister Zumrat something. They give us some cup and the pencil for gift. I check this pencil a lot. It's have camera something, and I broken. I scary. I scary from everything to using normal. Even sometimes when I order glasses, I scary maybe they put something camera here and they want to like check my everything. It's not normal. Yes, this is my about my remember that. Thank you so much.
Thank
Mana bu
you.
uylarimizga kirdigan, ya'ni mush har qanday so'ri saroy cho'ng yerlarga ammo jiqiraq kirdigan darvozalardan, masalan, so'ri saroy bo'lamdi, do'kon bo'lamdi, nima bo'lsa, mushundaq apparatlar mana. Mushundaq ko'rdingizmi? Mana.
Hmm.
Muş ülgermeydi o muşunda kırmızı. Mana hemme yamışta yılansıman.
Hmm.
Mana.
So this
Nima
is
uchun apparatga ücret bo'lib ketib, birisi qisilib ketmasin deb, mushundaq mana yılansıman mushda.
bu qayerga kirdigan ish bu?
Masalan, cho'ng idoralarga kirdigan. Deganda xizmatga kirish bo'lsin, nagilik kirish bo'lsin, masalan, savdo saroyga, do'konlarga yoki hukumatning idoralariga hamma yerda mushundaq yılansıman mushundaq yo'lni alaydan bir laynni ichib ashundaq uzundan uzun. Shu haqlar birisi-birisiga bo'lib ketmasin deb. Nima uchun deganda bir odam o'shaga kirib chiroyini tunutib, kimlikni surkab, qilib bo'g'ichilik o'chrat o'qitdi deb, shunga mushundaq yo'llarni ichib ashta qiladi.
Thank you for sharing that. And Zumrat was just showing the video of the lines you have to go through if you enter a workplace or buildings. Can you see that? Yes. Yes, it's a checkpoint. You have to go through this, and then you have to give your facial recognition. You have to face the facial recognition system. This is how, to the extent that, every aspect of life is monitored by the Chinese authorities over there. This is also telling to what extent the surveillance camera has been used, and then the impact of those experiments with the surveillance cameras is having on the people's life, as Michigan previously mentioned. So now we turn to the questions from the audiences. Thank you, Louisa, for answering them. Also, please read out the questions because I can't see it from here. And thank you, Mihrigul, thank you, Zumrat Daud, thank you, Tursna Ziaud, and all of you for being so courageous to share your experiments. And also, we appreciate and we wish all the best for you while you carry all these impacts from the trauma. And we are always here to support you. Thank you for sharing your experience. Louisa,
Thank
please.
you.
Yes. I also want to say thank you to the courageous women human rights defenders. They're survivors and they're human rights defenders every time they speak and tell their story to the world. So Rahmat Zumrat, Rahmat Mihrigul, Rahmat Tursanai.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Sister
you,
Rizwan Gul herself is a secondary survivor, every Uyghur around the world, and has family members, friends, their entire homeland under this. So for Rizwan Gul as well, Rahmat.
Thank you, Louisa, by taking this chance. Thank you, Louisa, for doing a great job on producing the reports on those like atrocities that have been impacting impacting the Uyghurs' lives. Thank you so much for your research work. Tursunay, siz kesem bulamdı dediniz mi? Buldu. Tursunay is going to leave. If you have any questions, please reach out to us for if you have questions for Tursunay. Thank you, Tursunay, for your time and the sharing.
Rahmat, Allah emanet.
Thank you.
Yes,
and Louisa,
thank
could you please?
We had audience questions. Yes, we want to respond. So I may pronounce the name incorrectly, but Shanim Goruchu McNerney said, thanks a lot for sharing these experiences and speaking out. She says, what I'm wondering, or he says, what I'm wondering is how the concentration camps operate in terms of how do they select people to bring to the camps? How long each person stays there? And is there a way out? So just to save time, I will give an answer. This is mass arbitrary detention. Now we know that, as you've heard, the government in police files and also through this electronic tracking, there's a major attempt, government effort in 2016 and 2017 to go through all the files. Has the person ever been in prison before? Do they have foreign contacts? Are they a religious person who prays and therefore is labeled by this communist government as so-called religious extremist? And many other arbitrary and absurd reasons are now documented in leaked government documents. We have them from Aksu, we have some from Khotan, from Karakash, Bostan district, and we have the Xinjiang police files, where we have records of what the police said about the people who were being brought in, recorded as to whether they should be sent to a camp, and also when they're in the camp, whether they should be released or should remain. And you will feel a tremendous sense of how absurd these things are, because it's things like, if you say Assalamu alaikum, then you are a religious extremist. If you have a Quran in your house, religious extremist. If you have a prayer rug in your house, and any contact with foreigners, which, you know, it almost seems too absurd, even for a very dictatorial and ideologically driven government like China. As for how long they stay, this is up to the police. There's no trial. Even if there were a trial, they're unfair. But in human rights terms, to be held without charge or trial is a certain extraordinary level of lawlessness and violation of international human rights norms. Some people have been released due to illness. In some ways, there are some cases, and Mihugo had the experience when she was extremely sick. The government released her to her family. Actually, they wanted to put her into a different kind of hospital. And her father, she said, came and got her, because it would have been, she would just let her recover at home. So even though people are so horribly treated, tortured, sexual abuse, starved, just this one bun per day, not enough water, given unknown drugs, nonetheless, for some reason, I personally don't understand, sometimes people could be released due to a medical condition. Others simply died in the cell. I'm sorry to speak in such a harsh way. It's very painful. Another question was about, if for people released, how do they get out of the country? So Janine asks. And I did write a response. Each of our survivors, our human rights defenders speaking today, had a foreign connection. And so this allowed this small handful of people, it's really in the several tens of people, not in the hundreds and not in the thousands, out of the 1.8 to 3 million or more people who've come into the camps, potentially being released for some time, sometimes going a second time, as you heard, in 2 cases today, twice taken into camps, and then coming back out, hopefully recovering some of their health. So it's arbitrary, and there's no rule to follow. And so it seems incredible, and I think your questions are very good ones. But it's really on the order, most people had no passport, so how can you leave the country? To this day, this is why Mihugo, Zumrat, and Tursanai, their own family members, brothers and sisters, cousins, nobody can simply go. And it is an international norm that everyone has the right to leave their country. And China is violating it, took the passports, so only by special arrangement and by, somebody mentioned, Mihugo mentioned, temporary. So some people have been able to leave when they sign a temporary agreement, tell the government, I want to go because I need to visit, you know, my family member in another country is sick, and I will come back. So they have to promise to come back. So I hope that answers those questions. And we had one other question. Rizwangul, shall I continue? It says, an anonymous attendee says, sad to hear all these traumatic experiences. However, Muslims are being surveilled in the Western world as well. For example, it was discovered that some Muslim prayer apps were selling their location data to governments. And presumably this is for the security forces in these governments that feared terrorism, Islamic terrorism, and therefore wanted to know who was involved in having a prayer app. And my, you know, how do we compare these, right? Certainly, civil liberties must be defended everywhere. There are many privacy issues, even in democratic countries. So there's no question that people who support freedom of speech and human rights should always resist and use democratic means to reverse policies that have unjustified tracking of innocent people. So that's one response to that question. And the other question was, how do these women feel about digital tracking in the US? and I don't think we need to ask them unless you want to say so, Rizwanul. They did describe that they have post-traumatic fears because they were so closely surveilled. And I don't know if these ladies even know, like, someone who is not being tracked by the Chinese government. Of course, we all know that on our phones, our data is being sold, even to commercial firms and potentially to government. But for these ladies, it's much more visceral. And so I think they've already answered that. So I don't know, Rizwanul, if we should let them say something, or if you feel they already described their feelings.
Yeah, thank you. I think they already described how this surveillance has had impact on their daily lives, even though now they are living in a free soil, like in the US. I think this issue, this thoughts around this surveillance technology and that they apply in our life is, to be honest, I think it comes to where really what is the intention of these technologies being used. If it's for the social security, for social safety, and there is like good intention and also not excessively used, I think it is a way that the technologies is being used for the good for the people. But when you look at how Chinese authorities have been using these surveillance technologies, is that these surveillance technologies has been used by this regime to oppress people. Like, for example, myself, either being in New Zealand or USA, I have received intimidation phone calls. What is the intention behind these intimidation phone calls? Just put the fear in me that I should stop speaking for my brother. I should stop speaking, like speaking about the Chinese atrocities. That is the intention. I was expected to be silent. But when if I come back, the intention of using those technologies for the social security and safety, that is to some extent can be acceptable. But when you look at how the surveillance technologies, again, in everyday life of Uyghurs, especially back home, that even if they are innocent, they are just ordinary people wanting to just ordinary life, but they have been monitored 24/7. This is not normal. As Mirko mentioned, this is extremist. Chinese government has blamed Uyghurs being extremist, but no, Chinese government itself is practicing extremist by surveilling those people and interrupting their life, not allowing those ordinary people have ordinary life, even using transnational repression to extending their long arms to those who are living in democratic countries. I think again, when we look at this issue, we need to look at what is the intention, how these technologies are being used to what purpose. I think by saying this, we finish this panel. Yes, thank you so much for you all to listen to us and put your questions forward to us. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, to me, to Luisa. If you have any questions for survivors, we are more than happy to answer, because we need to share our experience so we can understand each other, where we are coming from, and probably even we can influence the policies that is shaping our lives. Thank you. Luisa, do you want to say last?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much to Justice for All and to you, Rizwanul, for organizing. We had several comments from speakers saying, for example, one comment, amazing, strong women, may God protect the Uyghur people. And another response, excellent event. And thank you, ladies, for sharing painful memories again and again. Thank you to our audience.
Thank you. Again, we thank so much for Justice for All and its Save Uyghur campaign have been working on those issues that has been like impacting Uyghurs people's life from the genocide aspect, and also working together with Uyghur Human Rights Project and other organizations who are voicing for the Uyghurs who are being oppressed by Chinese from many aspects. The technology is just one side of it. So we will see more panels like this. And if you have any suggestions for any other topic on for panelists, please share with us. Thank you so much again, all, for. Please enjoy the rest of your day and see you next time. Thank you.